You're watching Teng Tools Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Muscle Garage is proudly brought to you by Teng Tools in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. Coming up, the fourth Frankton Thunder rumbles its way into the Tron, and we shed raid Steve Montaperto's shed. No, make that shrine to the mighty Flathead. But first, thanks to Niedercar, we're off to check out Nick's second time lucky fat HR Holden.
This exact car here, it was the very first car I ever owned. So I was 15 years old, young fellow. My sister's mate was getting rid of a stock standard HR, pulled some pennies together and bought it. It was pretty cheap back then. Slowly kind of chucked it in the shed and did it up. Yeah, loved it, drove around. It was a bit of a car in its day. I got married a few years later and decided that I better grow up a bit and sell it. I've missed the car ever since, I really have. Always wanted a supercharged, fat, blowing, obnoxious car, so why the HR is because it was my very first car.
While finding his long-lost sedan was the dream goal, it was one that looked increasingly less likely as the years ticked by into double digits. A plan B was put into action, and another HR was sourced. The body was mint, and Nick was about halfway done. But you know how these stories go. 12 years had now passed, and wouldn't you know it, the prodigal HR resurfaced, albeit with a price tag suffering from a decade's worth of inflation. But Nick clearly had to have it. The Plan B body was sold on, and this time, given that both Nick's family and his engineering business were growing rapidly, he decided the best way to do the HR justice was with a call to Dan and the boys from Hamilton's Rocket Speed Equipment. The Rocket crew are well versed when it comes to building tough cars. In fact, a recent one of them belongs to Nick's brother Mike, a car that Nick certainly wouldn't mind doing the old brotherly one-up on. The recipe for that would be a simple one.
A lot of power, but just that mongrel power. Yeah, obnoxious, something that's loud and you can hear from way down the road. I like a car with big dish, very, very low. There is no other colour than blacks, that real street machine look. Something different that no one else has really got.
Getting the car sitting right was the first port of call. The bulk of the rear end was relieved from duty and the leaf springs were relegated to the skip bin, making way for a completely custom 4-link, designed to function at the HR's static super low ride height. Coilovers would join the fun while a competition engineering anti-roll bar hangs off the narrowed Moser 9-inch diff housing. Inside, a Detroit locker and 31 spline axles, a lot of diff for a small car. The HR, while still looking very much a classic Holden, now sported the attitude to match its plate.
Yeah, I think the HR in its standard form's a bit, I don't know, nannery, would you say? Yeah, it does fly under the radar.
Just to remove any doubt as to the Holden's revised mission statement, a 671 blower now makes for one heck of a hood ornament, and no, it's not sitting atop a 186. The 406 cube small block Chev was bolted together by late engine building legend Jerry Manders, and is chock with the good stuff. CNC ported AFR alloy heads got the nod, while a 950 Holly double pumper plays bartender. Less is more was the go on the exhaust side. The HR, as requested, obnoxiously loud, the perfect complement to that hunting idol. A stout combo indeed, and that was the plan. You see, Nick is pretty keen on a bit of burnout pad action. With only one hitch, he may have made his dream HR just a bit too pretty.
Oh, I love my skids. I love doing skids, I really did. Back in the day, I used to enter the burnout comp. I was going to put the car in it and was going to do it. But then when I saw some of these cars, it's so awesome to watch, but God, they get thrashed and ruined and everything. So I've decided not to do that with this one. Maybe the next build. What's it like to pedal? I tell you what, when I first got in it, My adrenaline was thrashing through my body. My heart was pumping out of my chest. Kind of still does that when I get in it. I mean, you get used to a car now, so I'm kind of thinking more horsepower next. But it's good to handle. It drives really nice. You just need to be really careful because of it's got a Detroit locker.
So here we are, full circle. Buying your first car back is more often than not a disappointing experience. But not for Nick. The one that got away is back, and it's here for the long haul.
I absolutely, very happy. I just couldn't believe it when I saw it. Paid a lot more for it back than what I had sold it for, but it's something I can enjoy with my kids. I mean, I had it back then when I had no kids. Now to be able to enjoy it with them, like they love it. I mean, God, they want to take it out more than me. So, yep, not rose-tinted glasses, just happy glasses. Good.
Right, thanks to our mates at Mount Shop, it's shed raiding time. This week, we're in the Bay. Hawke's Bay, that is. Checking out the shed of Flathead fan Steve Montaperto.
It started about 1968 when I was still at high school. I used to work in market gardens to earn my money, and I spotted a 34 Ford Coupe down in Clive. Went and saw the guy and he said he'd sell it to me, and I paid him off over a year working in the market gardens, and that was the start of hot rodding. It was chopped and channeled and it just looked real cool. I thought, no, I wouldn't mind one of those. Yeah. It turned into an obsession now instead of just a bug. I couldn't imagine not having a hot rod in the shed, so part of life. Very much a 50s, 60s person as far as what I like the style of. I've always liked nostalgic engines, old speed gear and flathead Ford V8s and flatheads in general. So that's probably my niche. I just like the look of them. They look really nice. They dress up well, and the sound of them.
It's the theme that ties Steve's Hawke's Bay shed together. The vehicles, naturally they're flathead powered, but corners, shelves and walls seem to double as a shrine to this iconic early power plant.
First thing I say, it's my parts department. My mind's always working about 100 miles ahead, so I buy bits that swap meets and you put them in the shed and I know exactly what I'm going to do with them. So not just a collection of parts that never get used, they've all got a place somewhere.
Most of these parts didn't come from the factory either. New Zealand, like the US of course, but also Australia and England, produced its own speed equipment for the Flathead, a motor that also proved itself popular in boat racing and speedway. The resulting speed parts are very collectible these days, thanks to their low production runs, and many offer a fascinating backstory just waiting to be unearthed. Like the motors themselves, it's all come full circle. The 50s wave of newfangled overhead valve motors may have pushed the Flatheads to the back burner with their lure of easy power, drivability and reliability, but in doing so, the old Flathead might have been lumped with a reputation it didn't really deserve.
They're actually really good. They are reliable. They're like any other engine. If you don't do a good job of rebuilding it in the first place, you might have problems. But if you rebuild it properly, they're as reliable as any small block Chev or any small block Ford. There was a time when I bought most of my speed equipment when you could buy it for really low prices and nobody really wanted it. Totally the opposite now. Everybody wants an antique, I suppose. Yeah.
If you thought you might find an LS in Steve's hot rods, you really haven't been paying enough attention. Yep, the 32 Roadster is of course Flathead powered, but it's not the Flathead you might have been expecting.
I drove around it for 12 years in the red oxide primer. And then I'd had this Studebaker motor here and I thought, let's do something different and see if I can build an economical hot rod that's still nostalgic. It performs extremely well considering a Studebaker 6 is a very small motor, it's only 170 cubic inch. Yeah, a lot of people comment, some people can't handle it at all. And when I've actually mumbled about changing it back to a V8, I've been told off by some very old, very experienced hot rodders, and that sort of makes me think I better leave it alone.
A little less refined is the Dragster, a regular sight at the Nostalgia Drags Flathead Challenge.
The car itself is made out of scraps in my parts department. Like the motor had cracks in it, so it doesn't hold water. So we run it without water, and we built it up using parts I had in the shed. New Zealand made heads, blower's a New Zealand made blower, and the camshaft's a New Zealand cam, and it's got a top loader 3-speed on it and a very highly modified flathead diff with a spool in it. We do the nostalgias with that and just thoroughly have fun.
The difference between a good hot rod and a great hot rod is all in the details. And while those unique and rare nostalgia parts clearly make Steve's cars stand out from the pack, he's quick to point out there's a bigger picture in play.
Yeah, it is neat to see somebody wanting to do stuff different. More important to me, that they go out and build what they want. A lot of guys in hot rodding, they start out and they do it and they never get their car finished, and it's a thing that they wander off the subject. You've got to have tunnel vision when you build a car, because it's a hard job to do, even for experienced people. And unless you can set your mind and say, right, well, I'm doing that car, I look ahead and that's all I'm going to do, well, you won't get your car finished. That's how you've got to do it. Good advice for a lot of young people, because I've seen so many come along, start thinking that it's, oh, this is easy, I can do this, but there's a lot of hard parts in there and you've got to get over those as well. I would encourage any young person to get involved with hot rod clubs. That's a good thing to do, it keeps you out of trouble. You'd never have any money left to get into trouble anyway, because you spent it all on your hot rods. It's just a good way of life. I'm lucky, I think I grew up in the best era. Life was a lot simpler, and I think maybe that's what makes me a traditionalist, because I just like the simple life. Less stress, yeah.
Amazing results, even at full sight.
You're back with Teng Tools Muscle Garage, proudly brought to you by Teng Tools, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. Right, rumble in the Tron. Thanks to those nice people at Maguire's, we're in the Waikato for Frankton Thunder.
This is our 4th year of Frankton Thunder. The event actually started as a concept about 5 years ago. There's 3 of us kind of got together with ideas. We're all petrol heads. We want to do something. We want to do something with the community of Frankton and with the businesses here as well. And basically we wanted to put Frankton on the map. It's not Franklin and Auckland, it's Frankton and Hamilton, okay? And anyway, the concept was to actually have a motoring event combined with bikes, cars, and other activities as we brought them in. And we've got like Miss Frankton Thunder, burlesque. Each year we try different concepts. We've tried the bikes and the cars in different areas, and that this year we've really, I think, got it to gel. It's worked out well with the music, the bands, and we've introduced steampunk this year as well, which has actually blended really well. There's also a military aspect in there as well for those people. So it's an event with just about everything happening inside it, and the idea is to attract the community on. We've got St Vincent de Paul as the charity this year. They were charity last year. great team to work with and a good cause. So total charity event. So.
The event isn't called Frankton Thunder for nothing. It does consume a fair chunk of the Hamilton suburbs retail sector. The main drag shut down for the day to play host to hundreds of vehicles and thousands of people. The Waikato is something of a stronghold for the car hobby. Events such as Stragglers Karapiro Charity Show, New Zealand's biggest one-day car show, are testament to this. But Frankton Thunder is no typical classic car event, merging many niche auto interests in one place, mostly Commerce Street.
It's a great thing for Hamilton. I mean, you know, we've lost the V8s, damn it all. It's a lot of cars in Hamilton, yeah, you name it, it's all here.
Including Barry's Chevy C10.
Okay, I bought it about 8 years ago off a guy in Papamoa. He brought it in from LA. Exactly how I wanted it, really. Faded red paint job, about 3 little patches of rust in it. Got right into it. Within a year I had it stripped to bare metal, took the body off the chassis. I didn't touch the engine. The engine's still plodding on all right. It's a 350 Chev. Lucky I'm a car painter, so yeah, got stuck into it. The orange, it's sort of a dye, orange glow it's called. It's a bit of a mission to paint because it's, to try and get it even is just, I've added a few custom bits to it, made the sun visor for it. The bonnet I got off a guy here in Hamilton, it was half finished, just stitched along the top. I don't know what it's off, but plonked on top of another bonnet. I just wanted it to be a little bit different to the next C10 Chevy truck. Yeah, it's a great little driver.
And a great little hauler too, by the looks of it.
I've been riding Speedway for probably 45 years. I'm 63 now, believe it or not. And I've just done the Burt Munro. I entered 2 classes and I got 2 seconds, but should have won them both. It's a long story.
Getting a little cozier with Frankton's tarmac than most was Zach in another Chev, this time a 58 long roof.
It's a 1958 Chevy station wagon. It's a factory 9-seater and it comes out of South Africa and it's been in the country since 1962. It's a factory right hook as well. Used to have a three on the tree 6-cylinder and now it's got a Camaro motor V8 and an automatic. This car was parked next to my 61 Impala with a big block in it. I offered a straight swap just as a joke. The guy went off to the States for a few months and then came back and then asked me if I was serious, and then the next weekend took my car up to Auckland and picked up this wagon, which was a completely different colour. I've put new sills and floor pans, new inner guards in it, and it's had a few litres of bog applied to it to make it straight. Crazy plum purple from Chrysler. That sat in the shed for about 3 months while it got painted. 1 week, put it back together, ready for beach shop. Yeah, local, just from Te Kowhai, and I'm a part of Old School Rides Lowrider Car Club, where we try to make it out to every event and have a good time, see some cool cars.
Another local in on the action, Mike and his early Pontiac.
A 1952 Pontiac Chieftain, 2-door. Yeah, quite rare, not an overly valuable car, but they only made about 2,700 of them, and a lot of them have rusted to nothing. 1 or 2 left I've seen around. I bought it off the internet, that little chestnut, and found it looking much like it does now. Pictures, and an older guy owned it, and I got interested, called him, and on the last day before it left Washington, he mentioned to me that he'd found a soft spot in the floor while he was vacuuming it out. And so I thought, that's cool, that deal's done, I've given you the money, so got it back, and it looked much like it does now. And then we found a whole lot of rust in the floor and the firewall, quite a bit of damage with the chassis. Guys had been in there and cut and ground and made a mess, you know. Certainly not certifiable. We liked the look of the car, so we decided, yep, we're going to keep it, and we just got to get ourselves another mortgage and make it go. So, yeah, pretty much that's what happened. I went and bought a Jag, took the front and rear end out, and right-hand drive, so it was natural progression just to change it over to right-hand drive, easy to match all the Jag stuff. Wanted a reliable motor, so it's got an LT1. It handles good and reasonably reliable, good power. It's a pretty looking car. Pretty, it's not what you'd call aggressive, but you know, the whole thing was to make it a comfortable cruiser, not a race car, so yeah, and keep it looking as 1952 as we can, you know.
Four down and 2020's Frankton Thunder is already locked and loaded for March 8. See you there. Want to win big? Prizes don't get much bigger than this one. A massive Teng Tools 417-piece toolkit, 7-drawer cabinet and 6-drawer top box, a complete Maguire's car care pack and a $500 Mount Shop voucher. What do you need to do to be in to win? Simply head to themotorhood.com and hit the Teng Tools Muscle Garage link. Easy. Teng Tools Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Teng Tools. Get organised. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Need a Car, the easy way to research and buy cars online.